Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, Justin Wright. As always, today we're welcomed here with Jax Johnson. How we doing, man?
I'm doing great today. Like I don't know what the timeline gonna be, but tomorrow's gonna be a CSW show if you want to like talk about that. But I'm doing good. Training was good, and yeah, I'm like ready to go for tomorrow.
And this was a long time coming. I know we've been probably talking for like a month now.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. Hey, I'm glad to get you on here. It's great that our paths could align and finally we can get on camera and get to chatting, man.
Of course, brother. I appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate the opportunity.
100%. That's what this business is about. Is about opportunity. So, I'm gonna throw that right back at you. I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity to have this conversation.
Well, thank you very much. All right.
Before we get into the questions, are there any social medias or, like you said, upcoming events, things like that that you'd like to plug and let the fans know where to find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Jax Johnson 69. You can follow me on Instagram at BreakingX69. Any upcoming events, I have CSW Friday, and I have Ironheart in Minnesota Saturday. So,
Okay, so you're busy weekend.
yes, I will always like to try to keep myself busy with the wrestling.
You know, before we get into your story, while we're on the topic, how excited are you for tomorrow night's CSW show, and kind of what can we expect out of you tomorrow
Ooh.
night?
I don't know. Like I'm very excited about tomorrow's show. I might be cooking up something a little different. I've been working in the lab. Hopefully I could show y'all fans like this little thing I've been working on. So like that's something that's like maybe a new finisher, maybe. So
Okay, I like it. I like it. I always like something new. I also always like it whenever you guys are excited about what you're bringing to the table. So I'm excited. Um, Getting into our first question, I always start at the same place. Like I mentioned, this is the I Love Wrestling podcast. So the only natural place to go is
yes.
when did you fall in love with it? When did you find it?
All right. So I remember when I was like 6 years old, it's like around roughly about like 2002. I remember having like at a video store and seeing like SummerSlam 2002. And like the cover was like Brock versus Rock. So mind you, I never know nothing about wrestling at the time. I just thought, oh, look at Brock Lesnar, look at the Rock, looking intimidating, and like the background of the VHS tape, had them staring, looking menacing, had like the SummerSlam on top. So I remember I asked my dad, like, oh please, like let me have this VHS set that I don't know what it is, but like let me have it. So like my dad bought it. So then we watching it, and like the funny part about it, see, I didn't know that the Attitude Era just ended. So like things were still, it's like the start of the Ruthless Aggression era, and like things were a little bit still raunchy. So I still remember like they was promoting the Divas like swimsuit thing. My mom instantly fast forwarded, like, no, don't, you're not watching that. Let's fast forward. Let's get to the fucking like wrestling. And then they had the part where you can't skip, where like do not try this at home, and like the Rey Mysterio, like that's and this was like the old one. This wasn't the Rey Mysterio where he's like, I got surgery on my knee 5 times, because like I think Rey Mysterio, ironic enough, was about to debut for SummerSlam, like his first pay-per-view
Yep.
match. So like that happened. So they had like the big SummerSlam intro. Mind you, I never knew that this was like one of the big four pay-per-views. WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series. Like this is a big deal that I'm watching like this. The first time watching wrestling, this big show. And like the very first match was Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio. And I still remember, Kurt Angle coming out, dun, 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 dun. I'm like, oh, who this guy with the scene looking real intense, bald headed. He got a gold medal. And like, I think it was Taz and Michael Cole was hyping it up, Olympic gold medalist, this and that. And like, show like I think they showed like a package of what happened on Friday, the go home show of like what led to what's going to happen, why the match is about to happen. So, Kurt Angle come out, then Rey Mysterio, this is like I said, I didn't know that this was his like debut pay-per-view. And so like, he comes like, like, who's that jump from out the sky? Are you? And then like, so he like Kurt Angle like, yo, where he at? And then like, he came from like behind Kurt Angle. He did a springboard and then into like a Hurricanrana, boom, and they like fast pace, just boom, boom, boom. I'm like, yo, like this guy just bouncing all over the place. And then like when Kurt Angle took control, he boom, he slamming him. He's like being real aggressive and like being stronger and bigger than him. So I'm interested. Like this is like a very good match to watch for your first time. Like not a stinker match, you know. And like the pay per view going, and then what also stand out to me was the Triple H Shawn Michaels hype package, the unsanctioned match. I like the hype package, and mind you, I didn't know that this was like, like Shawn Michaels 4 years. He been out since '97. 4 years. He's coming back. This is gonna be his first time back in the WWE ring. Blah blah blah. And like they was really hyping it up. And I remember when Shawn Michaels came out, he had like the Bible verse with the tank top and like the jeans, and he had cowboy boots. I was kind of confused, like well, why is he like wearing that? I guess because it's a street fight, I guess, or whatever. And like Triple H came out in like regular gear. And like those guys like was killing that. Like I said, iPack just definitely hyped it up when they were showing like the build to it, and like the fact that Triple H was like was going to reform DX, but then he betrayed Shawn Michaels, and then then Shawn Michaels got attacked from behind, and then like Triple H like, oh well, no, like I still like my brother. That's still my brother, you know. Like no one, if anybody gonna fuck with him, I'm sorry for cussing. I'm not gonna do it. and then like Triple H revealed that like he did do it, and he said like Shawn was like the big hype was like he said no, I might not be clear yet to compete, but you know I'll say SummerSlam in a big hole, and then Triple H had a big shock. He's like what, and then the Eric Bischoff like I can't sanction this match, you know, for the record it's not going to happen, and then Triple H but it will happen, and then, like it was so hype, and like that match delivered. And then another thing that stand out was when Brock Lesnar won his first world championship against The Rock. And like more background, I didn't know that The Rock was leaving for Hollywood at the time, and the fans turned on him and was saying "Die Rocky, die, Rocky sucks," while Brock was the quote unquote heel and Brock was the babyface. So it was just one of those like dynamics too. So like that kind of like made me fall in love with wrestling because I gotta see this now. And I found it was on UPN 7:00 UPN. I gotta see it. My mom never let me watch SmackDown because it would be past my bedtime. I mean, not SmackDown, Raw. Raw come on too late. I couldn't watch Raw. I only watched probably like an hour and that's it. I had to go to bed. At least SmackDown was from 7 to 9, so I could at least watch SmackDown on Thursday. So yeah.
So like after that was like, what was your first like live experience? Would you say where you got to see the guys in person?
Ironically enough, I never like went to a live wrestling event until I started training. I never had the opportunity to go because I was doing other things in my life, like doing amateur wrestling, playing baseball, playing football and stuff. So I never really asked my like I just like I'm cool with watching it on UPN whenever I can or get the VHS or the DVDs, you know. So like my first live experience was at a CSW show when I was a trainee back in like 2016. And like I was like, oh wow, like setting the ring up and like this is kind of like this is how it's done, and like seeing the behind the scenes and seeing like how the workings really work, So that was kind of like my first live experience was like, but then afterwards I kind of went to like some WWE shows and some AEW shows afterwards, but like yeah, I never did nothing until I got into the business in a sense,
Okay. Do you think that your experience in amateur wrestling, baseball, football, all that, do you think that helped prepare you to be able to wrestle?
It helped me prepare because like the conditioning was something that like, and mind you, like when I started training, this was back in like 20, like near the end of 20, like near the middle of 2016 was when I first started training at Steve Boz at the Bozatorium. And like, mind you, this was like different trainers at the time. Some of the trainers was Steve Boz was still the head trainer. Willie Richardson was the trainer, and this guy named Kevin Quinn was also a trainer and everything. And like so, like Kevin Quinn would have us do a lot of conditioning and everything. We'll do like a lot of like running the ropes, bumping and stuff like that. And then we chain, and then after we chain, we go to we'll go to promos and stuff. But like the chaining kind of helps because like amateur wrestling, like it's a fine line between amateur wrestling and pro wrestling, because that's the reason why Kurt Angle kind of like picked it up so quickly. And like you just gotta learn how like don't go too far to the amateur wrestling. You still gotta have the sports entertainment. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you gotta find that happy medium. So
who would you say like growing up were your biggest inspirations as far as wrestling goes?
My biggest inspiration. So like I said, well, watching Kurt Angle kind of like influenced me to go into amateur wrestling too. Cause like I remember like, well, like he's an Olympic gold medalist in this. And I'm like, oh well, I seen like this may be a path to go into wrestling. And the only reason why I knew that that amateur wrestling wasn't like pro wrestling. How like most people would be like, oh, I'm gonna go join my high school wrestling team and think it's pro wrestling. Only reason because I know just Kurt Angle was like an amateur wrestler. So that's the like Kurt Angle was a big inspiration to me. Sheldon Benjamin was another one too because I love Team Angle. Team Angle with Paul Heyman, Charlie Hall, Sheldon Benjamin. Like when SmackDown in 03, like that was just like I was so like engaged in that. And I'll say another one when I started watching TNA in like 2006. Alex Shelley. Alex Shelley is another wrestler who I kind of like inspired because I do like and one thing that's common, all these guys are like technical wrestlers in a sense, you know, Matt Bass, fancy hoes, and I kind of like enjoyed that style of wrestling, you know.
Definitely. Doing all those other sports, was there ever like an idea to go do one of those instead of wrestling, or was wrestling always your go-to?
Wrestling was always my go-to. I just liked the other sports because like I always had my hand in other stuff. Like my father liked baseball, and I kind of just was like into it with baseball in a sense. Same with football. Like my uncle and like my uncles and my cousins like play football. I kind of was interested in that too. But it was never something that like I want to do more to it. Like you know what I mean. I kind of just was like, well, I still kind of like low key want to wrestle in a sense, you know.
Definitely. Did you ever think of having like a plan B, or have you been all in with wrestling?
I kind of say I was like all in because I remember when I was in college, I was trying to like go to a wrestling school in Iowa because I went to college in Iowa, and
Nice.
like it wasn't a black and gray, it was something. It was a different school. I think it's 3XW. I remember they had like a thing for like a tryout or something, and I didn't go because I overslept the night before. Like I was out like just out just partying and stuff, and I overslept and I missed my ride to go to Des Moines. But like I was always interested, especially when I came back home to Chicago. That's when I like looked up like Steve Boz school, like where to train at. And I just remember like Boz was like, "Hey brother, you know, like you look you in good shape. You're like you look an athlete and everything. Like I think like I'm gonna sign like if you want to sign up for it, to be this and that. Like if you want to like watch a class, like go ahead and watch a class." So that's kind of like I wouldn't say there was no plan B with wrestling. I kind of wanted to wrestle in a sense. So
How did you go about like actually finding a training school that was meant for you?
just looking it up on the internet, you know. I don't think there
Nice.
was. I kind of try to remember of like the 2015 era, 2015, 2016 of like seeing like what schools was available at the time. And I think the reason why I chose the Steve Boz school because like, well, Boz is like a wrestler. He's in shape, and like this Willie guy. When I was looking at Willie, like what's Willie Richardson? Like he kind of like for a big guy, he can move. You know, he kind of reminds me of like Rikishi in the sense that he's a big athletic guy. And I'm like, well, it's like a nice school to like start a base from. You know what I mean? And then I also remember looked at there was talk about Kalisto at the time, Samurai Del Sol. Because I remember he was on the Indies. That he also like not like Bosch trained him in a sense with Windy City, you know. And I do remember Windy City it wasn't a thing when I was looking it up, but I do remember like seeing like Windy City was a place that like on the internet that they was talking about, even though they kind of like at the time closed. So
Okay. And what would you say was your first like experience talking to Boz like?
it was very he he's very old school in a sense. Like I think I kind of like because I was on the internet looking up like wrestling terms just to like try to like, well, let me see if I can try to impress him by speaking kind of carny, and like I may not know what I was saying in the sense I was trying to read and like I was speaking, but like I felt like very old school, very like you know this is how it's gonna be done. I'm not gonna steer you wrong. I'm gonna try to keep everybody safe in the ring. I'm gonna teach you how to do this the right way, not just you know being too reckless and everything. So that kind of was like a thing of like okay, well he knows what he's doing in a sense, you know.
Okay. How did Boz respond to you trying to talk to him in Carney?
He kind of just laughed at it all, like kind of like this kid. I got smarten this kid up. This kid just kind of just using his terms, just out of pocket, like not using them right. You know what I mean? So that was pretty like cool that he like smartened me up a little bit to like know like this is like don't be looking on the internet trying to like figure this out. You know what I mean? So
You know, speaking of talking Carney, or the wrestling lingo, it's something that like when I first started doing the podcast, I caught myself doing a lot. And now, like, now that I've been doing it a little bit, it's something that I've really dialed back on because I'm not inside or anything like that at all. Like I'm just the guy on the other side of the camera. So like it's something I've caught myself like Justin, like you can't just be out here talking like you're backstage.
It's all good, and like sometimes like some people don't really know like how to do that and like how like to get smartened up about it, you know. And like sometimes I want to try to like teach the younger people that's working at the CSW that training like, well, this is how it's kind of done. Don't just like be using these terms willy nilly, you know.
Yeah. Something fun I like to do here on the podcast is I call it a promotion rundown, or a promotion or a moments rundown, where I'll mention some of the promotions you've worked for, and then you just give us your thoughts on said promotion.
Okay.
I'll start with CSW.
That's my home promotion. I really enjoy working there. I'm glad to see it grow from like being like when I started at Edison Park Inn, and then doing like from Edison Park Inn to River Grove, uh, Girl Prep High School to like where we at now with the American Legion, and having like that big show in December where we kind of like people sold out, and like it's fun. Like I was a part of that progression of watching it grow. You know what I mean? Like and like that's home for me. Like that's the first place that like I took my first bump, the first place where I learned how to lock up. You know what I mean? Like that's like you never forget about your home promotion. You know?
Definitely. Another one that I find really interesting here in the Chicago area is Galley Lucha.
Okay.
Uh,
Yes.
what's your time like there so far?
Well, I remember I worked at Lucia. Ironically, though, that's when I like tore my ACL in my like rookie year when I was wrestling with Arya Kuma against I Kelly, Elliott Paul, and I think Stevie Fierce was those guys. Nothing. I had nothing bad to say about them. I just remember like I was just trying to get reps when I was young. You know, like let me get reps. Let me get reps. Let me try to like work here if they let me. Carlos is a cool guy. I still remember like when I like went back to it, I kind of just go every once in a while. Like that's nothing. Like it's not like my priority per se, but like I don't if I can go, I'll go. You know what I mean? But like Carlos is fine. Like I have no issues with him and everything. I do like the people that works there. I do like that. If you notice, some of the younger CSW students are getting work, and like that's something that's good to have. Like you gotta get reps. I feel like you can only get better by just doing it. You know what I mean? You can like we could practice the moves all we want, but like you gotta like get your reps in, and like that's a place that a lot of the guys got their getting their reps in now.
Definitely. What about Ironheart?
Oh, Ironheart was kind of like I wouldn't say my first out of state promotion, but the first one that kind of like where I consistently go to. Caitlin Diamond, like she's a very like good like promoter, booker, and everything. I remember I went there through due to a camera guy named Derek. Like he went there. I remember I rolled with him just to like go to the first show, like not their first show, but like my first show there. And like they asked me to take pictures, and I took pictures for them, and then I like send it to them and everything. And I think probably like 2 months later, Caitlin, I asked like, "Hey, are you available? Do you want to like work this show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm available." And like that was like my first like real consistent out of state booking.
Okay. Two more. I got next Ultimate Combat Gauntlet.
Uh, I like Ultimate Combat Gauntlet because that's another place for like the boys and like the way like Lucia kind of like runs it as a place for like all the young guys to get reps. Like it's hard to get reps in wrestling, and like you hope that like you have this opportunity where it may be a smaller stage, but like you're out there, people see it. And also we in the day and age of social media where like well if you do something like no matter like how many people's in the crowd like it'll blow up, you know what I mean?
Definitely. Last but not least, All Heels Wrestling.
All Hills Wrestling was a place that I worked through Dakota Holiday. She gave me that booking when we was a tag team over there, and I like work. And like I don't mind working with Brad, and now Nate is like one of the people who like owns it and like kind of books. That's a good fun promotion too. That like I've been to a lot of another thing. It's always one thing consistent. A lot of young guys that always work there. A lot of young guys getting reps and everything. And I don't mind being like the so-called like vet to like help these guys like do this, you know, because like I feel like you got to give back to this business, you know.
Speaking of, kind of being a vet now, what's it like to now be, in the locker room for a longer period of time, and now some of the younger talent see you as a vet and they look up to you?
Like I just try not to steer them wrong, like how Marche Rocket, Acid Jazz, Willie Richardson, like how those guys, even to a sense, like even Vic Capri, like how those guys kind of like was helping me when I was first starting, you know, and like I would like to give back because like it's I don't want to be selfish. Like like people be selfish about wrestling all the time. I just feel like there's no need, you know, there's no need for us to be selfish. Like we're working together. Like I trust your body. Like you gotta trust me with your body. I gotta trust you with my body, you know. And like I can't just like do double cross or just be like jealous of people, you know.
Definitely. Something I've noticed upon doing research is you got to wrestle AEW star Josh Woods. How did that come about, and kind of what was that experience like working with him?
That was kind of like my first like big quote unquote name in the sense of wrestling, and I remember like I was getting like a push and like they wanted me to like challenge Josh Woods for the Ring of Honor title at the time. He was the Ring of Honor champion at the time, and the funny thing about it, he lost the belt like probably like 2 or 3 weeks before the CSW show. I remember I was telling my friends thought like, well, why that happened? Like, didn't blah blah. I'm like, look, we're an indie. Like, see, AEW is not gonna care about the indies booking plans. You know what I mean? And like, so it went from being for the pure title to a non-title match, and like working Josh Wood, it was a nice experience because like I felt like he taught me some things, and also I learned the things about like let's not go to amateur wrestling. You know what I mean? Because like it was a pure rules match, and I think the crowd didn't understand it in a sense of like, yeah, we're working holes. We're like I'm shooting a double leg on him, trying to take him down. He's blocking it. You know, I got an arm bar and he's trying to reverse it. Like I and then like don't get me wrong, like we picked it up near the finish, we picked it up, but it's just like I don't think they understood it in a sense, and like that was a learning experience of like, well, we probably went too far grappling instead of like let's mix that sport. I said let's mix that sports entertainment in there a little bit to like wake them up, you know. But like it was a good experience. Josh Woods was a pretty cool guy to work. I learned like a lot, and like also at that time, I also learned that like I could probably go in a sense. You know what I mean? Like it kind of opened my eyes when people in the back like, yeah, I understand the crowd wasn't there, but like you was with him, hole for hole, step for step. You didn't look gassed. You was still firing on all cylinders and everything. So that kind of like put a feather in my cap, even though like man, the crowd just kind of like didn't really get it. Like I said, we probably went to amateur wrestling instead of sports entertainment. So.
What was the feedback like after that match?
So I think Josh Woods was saying the same thing. He kind of like, I felt like we kind of went too far with the grappling. We could have and he kind of like he took it as like, well, because like he was like the vet and like more experienced than me. Like he did AEW. He also had NXT tryouts and stuff, and he kind of took it like like I understand like we probably went too far with the grappling, but like you held your own. Everything. I wasn't really worried about like my safety or anything. So I'm like, that's always a good thing that people like not worried about their safety. Like I always try to like want to be a safe worker. And I think we all like anybody in the business should want to be a safe worker, not reckless. And like to say like that one feedback was like we went too much grappling. We did too much grappling. I'm like like I understand. Like I said, like they picked it up near the end, which was like the go home sequence. We picked it up and they started to rise a little bit, but like from like the beginning to like near the heat segment, it was just kind of like the crowd was just like, nah, what's going on? Like I don't get it, So
with your amateur wrestling background, is that something like that you like to incorporate into your style? Is that heavy like amateur offense?
I do like amateur wrestling. I do like working like hoes. Like I said, I gotta learn how to like let's not go too far amateur and and that's just me trying to learn and like also like don't just like bullying your people you working because like it's a work. I can't like put a hold on somebody like I don't know how to get out of it. You know what I mean? Just like all right, okay, like you know what I mean? Like let's slow it down. Let me just try to like not to like do so much unless someone who does have that amateur background, then we could really like go crazy with it in a sense. But also like I said, I still gotta remember, don't go too far. Don't never go full amateur wrestling and pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Just like try to find a happy medium.
Definitely. Somebody that you've been kind of linked to in your career is Ryan Matthews.
Mhm.
You guys have a team,
Yeah,
Team Sexy.
yeah.
Y'all was able to capture the CSW Tag Team Championships. How did that come about? And can you tell us if you felt any extra responsibility once you guys gained those championships?
It came about because I remember like Hades like kind of booked us together. Like I think y'all kind of like have good chemistry together. You know what I mean? Because also Ryan, like believe it or not, like despite his sports entertainment, he's really an amateur wrestler too. Like which is pretty funny. Like he goes so far from that. Like and like I'm like too much into like okay well I'm an amateur wrestler but like we had a like nice odd couple feel to the beginning and then we just kind of like you know what we could just be goofballs and just be like and I just remember when we when we like was like oh we getting the tag belts and I'm like that's pretty good like anytime I feel like when a booker gives you a belt it's always a good responsibility because like well they trust you to like you know carry on whatever like storylines whatever they have next you know what I mean we trust that you're going to be the guys for our division you know moving forward or whatever you know what I mean.
How do you think your reign was received?
It was pretty funny because like I think we beat Big Mood, Mateo Valentine, and Jack Moody. And I remember like when I like cheated, put my foot on the ropes, and like the three happened. I remember some people was cheering a lot, and some people were just like, "Whoa!" Like you guys suck. Like it was just. And like I remember we did that at a promo afterwards. It was just so we were so goofy and excited. Like, oh my god, we won the tag belts! Like we gonna be happy forever. Blah, blah, blah. And like I think it was received well. And then I think like it was funny part about it. The next show he's going to defend our titles. Then Ryan like injured his shoulder, so like he kind of like did a promo saying that he wasn't going to be on the show, and I was on the show in the scramble match. And then I think like after then the November show we did like an open challenge that was answered by like well first we bullied Sierra to because like she was cutting a promo to like trying to like oh I want Joey back I'm sorry for being a bully to you like I made a mistake and we was being dick like oh like, that's not girl power like what are you doing that's not girl power I thought she was a girl boss why you crying over a man blah 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 like you know we gonna beat you up just since you gonna ruin our open challenge and that's when Joey came out. Like first, like I think I went to the back to get like a chair or something. Joey Cat like beat me up, and then like he came out. The people like the people was up like, oh my god! Like, he was holding me like a sack of potatoes, and like you know they kind of like he I think I got hit with the package power driver, and that was the finish. And I remember like when the crowd exploded, like Joey and Sarah finally like you know they reunited and got the tag bill. So that was like a good moment of like passing the torch in a sense, you know. Like I know
Okay.
they didn't need the rub, but like you know just for storytelling purposes, like we did our job as being like the obnoxious like heels to go for Joey and Sierra to like reunite, you know.
How so like with that, you guys were the contribution to getting them to their, big reunion, that big babyface pop. If you look at them now, they get the opposite reaction.
Yeah.
How do you think their stories progressed since then? Like for them to take that turn and now probably be the most hated people on the roster.
I feel like I think like it's just their attitudes of like I think Sierra was just frustrated losing. I think like she lost against Lily Lapita. My Spanish is horrible, so don't quote me on that. But like she lost to Lily, and then I think Joey lost to Maggie. And like their frustration probably built to like you know what like we've been here we've been doing this we lost to some clowns like that's they title ring got ended by Yabo the brothers of front instruction. And
Yep.
like I know that probably frustrated them. Like, damn, we lost again. Then we had two losses in a row to like, you know, Maggie Lee, Lily LaPinta, and like we're just frustrated. And they got to be the most hated because, well, like, you know, they beat up the brother of French Destruction and the Power of Friendship, Axel Rico and Doom, and cut a very like angry, scavy promo about their feelings. So like I feel
Yeah.
like people would be upset at them, like oh like we were so happy for you almost a year ago when y'all reunited, but now y'all some jerks, you know. So
Definitely, definitely. And that was their kind of their losses and their attacks on Doom, Axel, and the Brothers of Construction was actually my first live
ooh,
CSW event.
hey.
So like it was very interesting to see like the crowd reaction, and that was like one of the moments throughout the night. Other than maybe like the steel cage match
Yeah.
and the 2 out of 3 falls match that really stuck out, because the fans just, you could tell they cared so much,
Yeah.
not only for the tag teams that were in the ring, but for Joey and Sierra. Like they really was like, really guys, y'all really gonna turn and jump all these guys? Like we used to love you, but now we don't no more.
Yeah. Yeah, wrestling could be very fickle. You know what I mean? Like people, like wrestlers really have like a chip on their shoulders most of the time. You know.
How do you think like the CSW crowd compares to other indie crowds?
I say the CSW crowd is very like rowdy. They always like when if you ever throw a weak shot, they're gonna say weak, 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 and like very demanding. But they like who they like, they hate who they hate. And they will let you know if you. They always remind like don't quote me because like I said I was too young to really know, but they always remind me like an ECW crowd in a sense, like very rabid, like you got a mix of like people who like the hardcore, and you got like the casual fans who just like I just watch WWE probably, you know what I mean? And like it's always a good mix of having those people there because sometimes those people who like well I just watch WWE are probably like well this was interesting, this was like a nice show, this was a good show, I might come back next month, you know, and like is I always like having that the mix is always good instead of just like having like the really like hardcore who knows everybody from every indie or whatever to the people who like well I don't really know nobody, I just know John Cena and I may know Roman Reigns, but that's about it, you know. So you have that mix of people up in the crowd, and like
Definitely.
compared to other indie shows I worked, um, that's the kind of big difference, you know. But like sometimes I always feel like most indie shows kind of like cater to the people who just like I just watch WWE, but like I see this show. It's not like the tickets is not as much as a WWE show. I might check it out. I might see somebody who I might like, who I may know, or whatever. So I would just feel like that's kind of like how it is in my opinion.
Okay. Uh, moving on to the next question. How did you how did sorry how did wrestling TNA star Jason Hitch come about, and what was that experience like?
Okay, so wrestling Jason was something that was kind of like unexpected. Well, not unexpected, but I just remember like Caitlin sent me a message like, "Hey, you know, I'm gonna grab you wrestling a TNA star, blah blah blah. You know, this show," and I'm like, "Really? Like, okay." And like when I was like when I had the match with him, he was very like he let me he we was calling a match, but he never like told me like no in a sense or like or if, unless I did something egregious, but I never really called anything egregious in a sense. And like, man, working with like a TNA like guy who's on TV was kind of like, okay, well, this is how they do it, blah blah. I still remember one thing that stood out when I did like one of my falsies, whatever, and I pinned him. I did like a dead cell, like oh I'm exhausted. And then I remember Jason was like well why would you do that? Like we only did like 8 minutes. You're in shape, like you're not tired. Why did you do that? And I was like, well I was just trying to sell that. I was like, you know, this is like my last ditch ever. Like yeah, but like it was only we only went 8 minutes. Like it was only 8 minutes at that point. Like we had like 12, 10 to 12 I think, and like you act like we did like a whole 30-minute or 45-minute match and that you did like oh I did this move and like oh you know what I mean, and like that was something that stood out to me that like okay you're right like okay well, I shouldn't have been doing it like that, like yes sell but like you're not exhausted, like you know what I mean. So that's like little things, always a little thing, and people don't really like talk about the little things because like that's the thing that separates people from like you know people who like does this for a living and people who just kind of like you know 40 milers or like you know part-time people however you know.
Yeah. Looking back on 2024 as a whole, what would you say like are your biggest takeaways from last year?
Biggest takeaways like I would say like more like I remember being a part of the brass was pretty fun and like very entertaining, kind of like try to like work a like more entertaining style instead of just like oh, I'm just amateur wrestler, go 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 putting holes and blah blah blah. And then like working at Ironheart was something of like well, this is a company that like, well, they put stock in me in the sense like they had me wrestle like a TNA guy, you know what I mean? Like they was actually pushing me, building me up to face this guy, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of like, okay, that was pretty good. And like I still had like a moment at like Northland, like the early, like almost about to be a year, I think, maybe a year. I remember like having this match with Lee Metallic, this 12-3 Falls match that I kind of like, I really enjoyed it because it was a nice story to it. Like former partners, you know, like I think I'm better than Lee, but Lee's so like, because he had a car accident too, which was like very devastating car accident that like he broke his hip really bad. I remember when it happened, like it's always scary to hear like whenever if you ever get him like hope if he tells you, but just like it's always weird like scary to hear like, oh, I was just driving at one point, then I just woke up in the hospital. You know what I mean? You just kind of like, damn, like I'm just glad that he didn't like die per se, you know. But that was
Yeah,
a nice like good comeback story for him, and me being a good foil, being a good heel, just being like an antagonist to him. And I really enjoyed that 2 out of 3 falls match because it was like a nice like storytelling, like as Boswell would say, you gotta tell stories, brother. And I'm like, well, I hope we told a good story. And like I remember Boz was in the crowd and he was telling in the back, like, oh, that was really good. And I'm like, oh, thank you. So just like I always try to take away of just like always like try to like get better myself, try not to suck. I really that's my mind. I don't want to suck. I don't want to suck. I really don't want to suck. I really just want to kind of just do the best I can, you know.
100%. With that said, we've done a little bit of reflection on 2024. What would you say your goals are for 2025?
Just try to get myself out there more. Try to like do the make the most out of any opportunity that I have, you know, like including this one. Like this is another opportunity. Try to make the most out of, try to show another side of like of myself, you know. And and I can always say that like someone always said like, you know, you can never control how much time the booker gives. You can never control like where to go. Only thing you can control is what you do in that moment. So like whatever time you have, like, cause I remember people say like Chelsea Green, whenever she's on TV, she's always still in the show, you know, and like she probably just get like a little bit of time, and that's why she's like the first United States champion because like whatever time she got, she made the most out of it, and I think like that's something we should all strive for, no matter. Oh, we got a 5 minute match, or if a match get cut, then you like okay, well match time got cut. Let's just try to like get to the meat and potatoes and like let's make it work, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
With that said, I agree 100% because like I might only have, 30 minutes to make or an impression that is a positive one for whoever's on the other side of the screen. And like I know for a fact that if it's a bad impression, it's going to get spread really fast. You know how it works. So like
Yes.
my job, I also like I just get it. Like you got to go out there and both of us got to give the best performance we possibly can, put on the best show possible, just for entertainment, so people enjoy what we do for the love of wrestling.
Of course, of course, of course. Uh, oh, sorry. excuse me. My apologies, my apologies. Oof. Coming from a cold. Like I'm okay though, but yeah, like anything else you want to talk about? I'm still ready to talk some more.
I was gonna say, something new that has come. I don't want to say new. It's recent in news in the wrestling news sphere is the WWID system.
Mhm.
Is that something like as a pro wrestler that you keep your eye on, and that's something that maybe you would like to be a part of?
In a sense, like I feel like if you get that ID, I feel like well your hard work's paying off. Like somebody's watching. I feel like everybody's watching in the sense. Like no matter if people say like they're not watching, I just feel like that's like that step there. People gonna be like, well, this person is for real in a sense. Like I might keep my eye on this person, you know. And like it's always something to strive for, you know, when you're a wrestler, because you always want to like get to the top, whatever the top may be in a sense. You know what I mean? And like I
Yeah,
said, I don't know, like everybody got different goals and everything. I just kind of just want to like, look, I just want to wrestle and like be good at it and hopefully like, you know, make some money off of it and like people like are entertained by what I'm doing, you know?
definitely. Um, Another thing that's always like brought up in wrestling, there's always dream matches or dream match scenarios. What or who would be like if you could have one match with anybody, dead or alive? Who would that be?
It's easy. Sheldon Benjamin, like that's Sheldon Benjamin was like I said. I remember earlier I was saying like, oh man, team angle. Even when he was like broke off as the gold standard, I was like, I like Sheldon Benjamin. Like I didn't care that like oh people might talk about oh like oh I don't think he's very athletic and everything, but like I really enjoyed watching his work. He was so smooth, so good, and I feel like I could learn a lot if I ever have that match with him. I could definitely learn a lot from him. Pick his brain like before the match, after the match. You know what I mean? And like that would be like very a nice little step of approval on my end, and then feather in my cap. That like oh I worked with Southern Benjamin, and if I can like keep up with this man, you know what I mean? So that's
Definitely.
that's one.
And it's something that is definitely, even though he's in AEW, I can see definitely still being possible. It's still, nothing's impossible, especially in wrestling.
Of course, yeah. Like I always feel like it's all like you could ask me like dream matches all the time, but it's just like I think that's like the one that I really wanted, and like he's with AEW now, so it is possible. I do remember when he what in between WWE and AEW when he was like on the Indies. I was like, I really hope that somebody brings him in. I hope I could be the person to like tap on the shoulder, be like you gonna wrestle Sheldon Benjamin, like me, like I like so I'm just telling everybody in mama about like, hey guys, like come to the show. Like, I'm wrestling WWE superstar, former Intercontinental champion, United States champion, show the Benjamin.
you,
Uh,
wrestling in CSW though, that's probably the place where you're most likely to wrestle just about anybody, because like you never know who's going to show up to a CSW event.
no, you never do, and it's always that's like I say. I remember watching this place grow, like from a place like in a bar at Edison Park in to Government Prep to the American Legion post. It's something like oh okay, like I was a part of that growth in a sense, like from a trainee to like being somebody who's like a nice staple of the company or like at least on the card, it's something that's like I appreciate.
Yeah. What would you say is like the biggest surprise you've got at a CSW show?
I think like I'm gonna say this having Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, like that's the one that was like kind of like the big one because like they're like wait we got Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay being a special guest referee because I think they was in town. Like I don't know all the details of how it happened in a sense, but I just remember like Melissa must have got hurt or something the day before. I probably think Sky Blue probably like hit them up like, well y'all in town, do y'all want to do this show? Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? I feel like that's probably how it happened, but don't quote me on it. It's just me just thinking.
So that was Sky's last CSW match, correct?
Yes, I believe so. Yes,
Was you there for that?
I was there for that. I remember I was there for that. I'm don't quote me on what match I was doing, but it's I gotta probably look it up. But like I remember I know I was there because I remember watching the actual match. I remember Will Ospreay. Like I remember like when everybody like when his music hit the dun 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 dun, dun and everybody like Will Ospreay at CSW. What he doing in CSW as the special guest referee? So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I think I believe I was on the card. I had to be on the card. I just remember that specific thing of him just being there.
What was the reaction like, behind the scenes with Osprey and Fletcher being there?
It was just like kind of like whoa, we got like these guys here. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things. Like I just feel like they had to be in town. Like AEW had a show that day that Sky had to been like, oh, do you wanna like be on the show? And it was just like the backstage was everybody was just buzzing. Everybody was like trying to talk to Will Ospreay, like pick his brain about stuff. Maybe even Kyle Fletcher too, like talking to him about like because he have experience, like when he was in the UK and like doing New Japan and stuff. So like it was always nice to try to like pick those guys' brains who like been around the block, and then some. You know what I mean?
Do you think it's validating having guys like that come into your promotion and work?
I think so. I think it shows that like hey, like if people want to work here, like we're not just a rinky-dink company in a sense. Like we're legit. Like we're like we're working hard. We're trying to draw. We're trying to like sell out, get as much people as we can to the place. And like it's always interesting when we do have like those quote unquote names. Like Moose was there a few times. Who else? Like Leo Rush was there, did a show. I'm trying to think.
Like Tommy Dreamer's been there,
Tommy
Rhino's
Dreamer,
been there.
I know EC3 been there. So it's always good to have a step of approval that like, some of these people who've been on TV, whatever, was willing to work here,
Tomorrow there's a few big returns for CSW. Aiden English
Yes.
making his return to CSW, Heather Reckless. What's it like to see those big returns come back to their home promotion?
Well, I can't really speak on the A English because I wasn't really there when he was working there. But like
Okay.
I feel like that's probably like maybe a monumental return for the people who has been there. Maybe like the Marches. I'm trying to think of who's like on the card who like may have been there when he was there. Then like, but the Heather Reckless is a big one. Like I remember watching her when she debuted as a ballet for Nick Brubaker,
Okay.
and like seeing her go from that to being one of like the most like over wrestlers at CSW women's champion, and then going on to TNA. That's pretty cool to watch somebody progress from that. When she was just green at the Blackie Brave school as like I said a ballet. Like she was like the ballet at first. That's when she kind of like debuted at CSW, and like watching her now, it's gonna be definitely. I bet a lot of people are excited to see her come back to CSW. So
100%. And I can tell you I'm one of them. It's looking like it's going to be a phenomenal card, and that's going to be a highlight.
oh yeah, of course.
Uh,
Yeah, that three-way
I,
match is Maggie, Shaza, and Heather. Like that's that three-way, right?
yeah, and Shaz is another one that's making a return. And I know at the last CSW show Maggie was hurt, so
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting to see if Maggie's cleared or not. Because I think I've heard rumors that she may or may not be. So
Okay,
there's a
okay.
lot. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, of course, and like it's gonna be an interesting show that I hope like everybody who could come on out, like enjoy a good night of wrestling. From top to bottom, everybody on the card is gonna be working hard. Ain't nobody gonna be phoning in. Everybody's gonna be trying to give y'all fans the best show around.
Definitely. Speaking of nobody phoning in, something I like doing here is talk about Mount Rushmores, and
Uh,
nobody on Mount Rushmore ever phones it in.
mhm.
So, who would you say your personal Mount Rushmore?
All right, I'm gonna say my personal Mount Rushmore. I'm gonna start with Terry Funk, a guy who like in like the 70s and the 80s was like NWA world champion, technical wrestler, and then like around the 90s like kind of brought deathmatch wrestling to like the mainstream with ECW, and a guy who was so like a desperado, and a guy who had longevity, and like he had a saying like, I can't make you believe that pro wrestling is real, but I can make you believe that I'm real. And like that's a pretty cool quote, because everybody knows like who knew people knows like wrestling is wrestling in a sense, but like if you could go out there and people be like enthralled by you, like, and I think he had so much charisma in my opinion. And like I said, for a guy who like I said, like his younger stuff when he was like doing like 60-minute classics and like just wrestling Broadways and NWA, to like what he did in the 90s at ECW, and just like doing like pretty much doing what deathmatch wrestling is now in a sense. That's one. Another one, Stone Cold. It would be another one, Steve Austin, just because like what he did to wrestling. He brought wrestling into the mainstream in a sense. And like it's so funny because like I wouldn't consider Stone Cold a typical babyface. You know what I mean? Like he doing middle
Yeah,
fingers, like, but it was a part of the times. You know what I mean? Of the '90s, the rebellion era of like, man, fuck my boss. Like I don't really care about him, and like the fact that he's out here drinking beer, stunning Stone Cold, and that's pretty cool in the sense of like if I was there, I probably would have been enthralled by him too in a sense. And then like my number three is someone who I kind of know, someone who I feel like been on top for the longest, in my opinion, John Cena. Longevity. Like I feel like he's been on top since like 2005 to damn near probably 2017, in my opinion. And like that's longevity. I don't think like no one who's ever been on top of the business in a sense of where they've been at have that longevity. And I know that like I still remember John Cena versus Umaga, their feud was pretty like that was like blew my mind. How,
Badass.
like Cena bleeding all over the place, Umaga just fucking just being a fucking like destructive force, and like it was so like cool. And I was really worried about John Cena. I'm like, no, not John Cena, like no. And he's bleeding all over the place. It was like, and I remember people like people turn sour on him, talking about he can't wrestle and stuff. But just like as a worker, I appreciate him because like he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? He knows what he's doing. And then I'm gonna say something that's gonna be like my next Mount Rushmore. Somebody who's like it's gonna be way outside the box when I say this. And the only reason I'm saying is just more because of innovation of what they did. Naomichi Marufuji. He's a Japanese pro wrestler from Pro Wrestling Noah. I just remember when I first like got on the internet and just like was looking at wrestling besides WWE and TNA, and the fact that like the stuff that he was doing, like Roman Reigns, like the drive back kick that Roman Reigns does, like he did that. You know what I mean? Back in like the early 2000s. You know what I mean? The curve stomp, like he was doing it in the early 2000s, and like Spanish flies, and just like how innovative he was. You know, like he may not be like on people like it's just my personal because like the stuff that you see on the indie stuff that you see now like came from him, and he was doing that like 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like you can't beat that because like, well, you're innovative. You know what I mean? And plus, it's funny part about it, he was also on top of his company too. Excuse me. During like the dark years when after his like mentor passed away, he had to like become the president. Just like that sucks when your mentor dies and you have to like, well, I gotta take over the company now afterwards. But like, yeah, just innovation. You know, like I still remember this YouTube video when someone it was like you could probably find it and like I might send it to you afterwards if I could find it. It was like WWE tribute to Narumichi Marufuji and just like all the guys like doing his spots. You know what I mean? So it was pretty good. And this was like when I was young too. This was when I was in high school and I saw that. So that's the reason why I like, well, outside the box, someone you probably would never see, probably someone that people never really heard about, but like just because how innovative he was in a sense and how like how what he did kind of like brought the modern style of wrestling that we see now, you know.
That's badass. I wasn't expecting it. It's definitely like you said, an out of the box pick. Which those are my favorite. I love those. Last but not least, I try to end on a positive note.
Mm-hmm.
And I really I try to take advice from wherever I can, be it positive.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any advice for somebody that's trying to break into this business, who's trying to look into training or trying to just maybe he's on the edge. Should I do it? Should I not? What advice would you give them?
Don't half-ass it. Just if you're gonna do it. Like mind you, like wrestling, that you're gonna be at a loss. Like you're gonna be grinding. You're gonna have to be setting up rings. But if you keep on grinding, if you keep on working hard and like putting your best foot forward, it will eventually happen. You never want to have like the little thing of like, oh, I quit, and you was like this close to your goals. You know what I mean? Like I've been doing this for about to be 8 years in February, you know, and I never really like stopped like grinding because I know how hard it is to grind, and you got to keep doing it. You can't just like stop. You gotta like take your diet, take your diet seriously. Your like working out. You know, you can't just half-ass it if you want to do this. You know, because I like if I don't know, like everybody had different goals, but I just feel like WWE is always the goal for everybody in wrestling. In my opinion, it may be different, but you know, if you want to go down to Orlando, you're gonna have to work hard. You can't just you can't half-ass it because like that company is a machine. It's your job now. That's your new 9 to 5, and you can't just like oh, I'm just gonna like not take off or whatever. And I don't feel like training. Like no, if you can do it, do it. Don't never like stop hustling because you gotta hustle. Wrestling's all about hustling, all about network. You just can't just sit on your morals, you know.
100%. You know, Jax, this was really fun.
Okay.
And I'm going to leave it off on maybe at the end of 2025, maybe beginning of 2026, maybe we get back on here, do a little update.
Yeah, sure. I'm always looking forward to doing stuff like this, man. I appreciate the fact that you let me sit here and talk wrestling for almost an hour. You know, that's something that I really appreciate. So,
No, I love having you. You're a ball of energy. I love it. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow at CSW.
yeah, we're gonna have a crazy 6-man with me, Ryan, and half crab Hans against those losers. The power of friendship and like washed up Marche. I'm just kidding. I'm not calling him. I'm just working. I'm not going.
I'm
Like,
clipping that.
you can. But no, I'm excited about tomorrow, and I hope everybody who like, well, I don't know when you're gonna release this, but like, I hope people come and watch it whenever. So yeah.
No, thank you 100%. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna leave it with the doors open, and I'll see you next time.
I bet. Like I see I love wrestling fans and everything. Hope to be back.